Probably the PBOC wants the most gold for its dollars. So when the price rises fast, it will signal it stopped buying, trying to cool the market. In the meantime, the United Kingdom exported 53 tons to China in May, of which likely most found its way to Beijing. Tuesday, July 30th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. We're going to look at China today, and specifically the People's Bank of China, and whether they've been buying gold on the sly. Back in the beginning of June, there was news that the Chinese central bank had stopped buying gold in May, and the market got hit quite hard. At the time, gold was moving towards 2,400 again, and it broke down and went back below 2,300. And there's a lot of suspicions, of course, whether they really stopped or they wanted to keep the market suppressed so they can buy more. And we're going to look at a good article from Jan Neuenhaus, and he's found some proof that they might be buying gold on the sly. But before we start and look at this, just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the UK in terms of the new government. The Chancellor, or the equivalent of the Secretary of the Treasury, has found a £22 billion hole in the finances, and that's an excuse for them to raise taxes, to cut some benefits for the pensioners, the winter fuel allowance. They're probably going to increase capital gains tax. So what's my view on all this? Well, my view is that the problem is the mentality that the state is there to look after you from cradle to grave. That's the mantra of the welfare state. And do I think the new government is worse than the previous? Not really, because the previous government was just as socialist. They're the ones who gave pensioners the winter fuel allowance. That's coming from you, from your taxes. So people are angry now that the supposed socialist Labour government has cut that. But yeah, in the end of the day, until the general public wake up and realize that government is the problem, not the solution. And I saw that the previous government wasted £2 billion with a project to build a new railroad in the north of England. They've scrapped it. So it's all waste. It's not... yeah, when governments supposedly invest and do infrastructure spending, it's all wasteful. It never leads to anything good. So the solution, of course, as I said, smaller government and self-reliance. Don't wait for someone on a white horse, as I've said many times, not even Trump. Look after yourself, look after your family, and look after your close community. That's what I would say. And don't depend on the government. So talking about gold in China, what China has done, well, it looks like they've done it because there's no concrete proof, but Jan Neuenhaus has done some pretty good research which shows the PBOC might be still buying gold and not telling the world. Prior to a couple of years ago, the PBOC hardly ever updated its gold reserves. It used to come out every 3 or 4 years and update it. So they're very opaque about it. And that's because they want to have as much gold as they can for their dollars, because they're short gold. If you're long dollar, you're short gold. If you're long British pounds, you're short gold. And the higher the price goes, the less gold you're going to get. And that's why I think there's still time to get some gold. And if you on the fence, or if you want to keep stacking, have a look at Miles Franklin, my affiliate in the US. They've got some specials this week. They've got silver as well. They've got $half, which are 90% silver, pre-1965, only $2.50 over spot. They've got 1 ounce silver Britannias, $3.29 over spot. They've got 1 ounce Canadian gold maple leaves, $65 over spot, and 1/10 of an ounce gold American Eagle, $39 over melt. If you want to contact them, make sure you mention that I sent you there, Mario or Monaco64. You can call them on 1-800-822-8080, or you can email info@milesfranklin.com. So back to China. I'm going to show you a chart here. It's a daily chart of gold. And as you can see here, this big red line, it was June 7th, a Friday, and gold was very near 2,400. It got up to 2,387, and then it just got smashed down. It dropped quite a bit. It went to a low of 2,286. Well, what happened there? Well, there's a story that came out in the mainstream financial press, Bloomberg to be exact, and because some people noticed that the data from the PBOC didn't change in May from April, the gold amount. So they said, oh, China stopped buying gold, right? And the story came out, the market got hammered. And you can see here on June 7th, it says gold slumps as China's central bank halts 18-month buying spree. PBOC stockpiling has been key to precious metals rally. Spot gold drops more than 1% after reserves data released. And it also says that the PBOC announced, but they didn't announce anything. They just didn't change the data for their gold holdings. They didn't come out and do a press conference and say, we're going to stop buying gold. So there's a lot of suspicion about this. Many people thought, well, they just want the price to stay a little bit suppressed so they can keep buying more. They don't want the whole world. Well, the whole world knows already that China has a big appetite for gold. But now, over a month later, almost 2 months later, Jan Neuenhaus, and he's got a website called GainesvilleCoins.com. He's also on X, if you want to follow him. He's a Dutchman who analyzes the precious metals market, but he's found this. So this story came out yesterday. He wrote this article. PBOC gold conduit revealed Chinese central bank did not stop buying gold in May. That's what he thinks. He says this article is an analysis of how the Chinese central bank, PBOC, buys gold in London from Western bullion banks because the bullion banks take care of the gold transport for the PBOC. The shipments from London to Beijing are disclosed in UK customs data. The customs data reveal that the PBOC continued to buy gold in May. When it communicated to the market, it discontinued buying at a rate of 53 tons. The PBOC stated it stopped buying to dampen the gold price so it could acquire more gold. So here's the chart where Jan Neuenhaus finds that China actually imported 53 metric tons of gold in May. It went through the customs. Source is China Customs. goldchartsaras.com and World Gold Council. And this is the Shanghai Gold Exchange withdrawals minus China net gold import. So it's a negative number. And I'm going to put a link to this article below in the description. And you can read the whole thing, but I'm going to go through his conclusions here. I think that's what's important. He says, it all fits and makes sense. The motive, the data, and the anecdotal evidence. Let's summarize our key findings. The Chinese central bank desperately needs to diversify its foreign exchange reserves since the beginning of 2022. Since then, the PBOC secretly buys large amounts of gold. At the same time, export of large gold bars from the UK to China explodes. A surplus in the Chinese market appears, while the bullion is not to be found in the Shanghai Gold Exchange vaults, as if it has gone up in smoke. A source indicates that gold shipments for central banks are often included in customs data. There is a correlation between PBOC official buying and UK exports to China, suggesting the Chinese central bank buys gold in England's capital and lets banks supervise transport, maybe because the PBOC reaches the limits of its own capacity to ship gold when volumes are sizable. It all points towards UK gold exports to China are destined for the PBOC, although probably not every ounce of these flows is for the Chinese central bank. Clearly, the PBOC is accumulating more gold than it wants to disclose. When the PBOC stated it had stopped buying gold in May 2024 after continuous purchases for 18 months, I didn't believe it. The PBOC has few reasons to cease growing its gold reserves in the current geopolitical and monetary landscape with a plethora of challenges. And talking about the monetary landscape and the debt situation, I don't know if you noticed yesterday, the U.S. national debt just went over $35 trillion, and now it's at 35,500 billion already. So it's racking up at a rate of knots. So here he shows a tweet from, or a post from June 8th, a couple of days after the story came out. They said zero price drops, they can buy more. That's what Yan said that day. And Ronan Manley said, correction, China's central bank didn't announce any gold buying for last month. PBOC only announces when it suits them. Bloomberg says China's central bank didn't buy any gold last month, and the massive buying spree that ran for 18 months. Yeah, that's what Ronan Manley is trying to say. Bloomberg was jumping on this bandwagon saying, oh yeah, China, stop buying gold. It's announced it stopped its massive buying spree. No, they just didn't change the amount of gold on their books, and they didn't announce anything. Probably the PBOC wants the most gold for its dollars. So when the price rises fast, it will signal it stopped buying, trying to cool the market. In the meantime, the United Kingdom exported 53 tons to China in May, of which likely most found its way to Beijing. Note, the PBOC also buys in Switzerland and other countries, flows that can be included or excluded in customs reports. But it's impossible from where I stand now to measure all these separately. Finally, some of my previous analysis have been skewed by the above. Private demand in China has been lower because some non-monetary imports were taken by the central bank. So there you go. Another reason why this is just another opportunity to stack gold and silver, especially. Silver is heavily undervalued, in my opinion. So let's quickly look at where the markets are then this morning. It's 20 past 8 a.m. London time. So we've got spot gold at $23.91. It's up about $7. High's been 92, the low's been 76. Silver's up 8 cents, trading just below 28. The high's been 28 and the low 27.60. And again, yesterday we saw gold and silver get hammered quite sharply during US hours. I think silver got down to 27.25, so it recovered quite well, I would say. The stock markets are all pretty much unchanged. They're up slightly, so no point in reporting that. And also the currencies are fairly quiet this morning. I noticed crude oil has come off quite a bit in the last few days. WTI is back to around 75, and Brent is below 80 now at 78, 76. And yeah, that's it. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.